Welcome to Market Buzz. I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician and host of the Market Buzz. Each show we do a deep dive into different industries using weekly charts to see what is happening on a long timeline. Please follow me on Twitter at SchnellInvestor, and you can also find my blogs on ospreystrategic.org as well as StockCharts.com. I want to cover off a commodity run today, and we've got a different reason for covering it off. So as Russia is isolated from world trade, we're going to have a situation where all other companies in the world are going to have to pick up the slack of how much commodity products that Russia was supplying. So Canada, Australia, Brazil, Africa are all big commodity countries, and they would be shipping commodities anyway. But the problem is now if you take Russia as a main provider of commodities and just kind of force them into a back corner where they're not able to sell their commodities due to sanctions, everybody else has to pick up the slack. So the commodity price might not actually move as much as some of these companies as all of a sudden they're in huge demand. And the second side of that is it's not going to be quick to rotate back to Russia, because even if things turned around tomorrow, people would be a little less trustworthy with supply. And so that makes it very difficult for them to keep their business going. So they're going to make decisions that are more stable for them. Now, Russia could drop the price, and yes, eventually that would work them back in. But I think we're set up here for a period of time. I don't know if it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. We're set up for a period of time where all of a sudden commodities from the rest of the world are going to go into high demand. And the benefit of us watching for this early on here is as these stocks start to move, some of them are just breaking out of bases today, literally. I'm recording this on the last day of February 2022. And so we start to see this whole thing change. So we've got energy costs soaring, industrial metals are surging. I want to cover off how to scan specifically for a group, how to save and how to drill down, how to sort it. And then I'll look at some of the charts that are working pretty well in there. So with all that, we've got lots to cover off. I hope you'll find it enjoyable. We do a lot of this over at Osprey Strategic. If you're interested, I would point you over to the website. We've been doing a whole bunch of stuff on commodities and trading through January, February. A lot of people got hurt with the pullback in the overall equity markets, but commodity traders have actually fared pretty well. And many of them are up 25% or more so far this year. So it's been a heady year for people in commodities, and it's been a rough year for people in technologies. I still think that the whole commodity sector has a way to run because of this new change. So even if things had stabilized, we still had a pretty good looking commodity market for now. But I think with the Russia change, that's again, even if the price of the products don't change much, the demand for everything the companies make is going to change a whole lot. So I'm expecting quite a big shift. Anyway, we do this all the time at ospreystrategic.org. I'd encourage you to head over there and check out the website. Look around. You can try 1 month at just $7. For $860, you can get everything that's on the website. And I think you'll find that that's a pretty valuable tool to try and help you trade through this. If you're following people that don't trade or understand commodities, I think you're going to enjoy the fact that we look at commodities each and every week. It's part of our weekly ritual, and we can see the big changes going on in the market. So with that, let's get over into the charts. Lots to cover off here. So first of all, commodities, I've got this set up on the home page, and what you can see here is the commodities in general were up 1.7%. While gold was up somewhat, copper was down just marginally, yet copper miners were soaring. If you go to the TSX, it was like energy companies, and here's DML, which is a uranium company, and you can just see breaking out of that base. It's all about the base. They're moving quite nicely, and so it's that change that we see that we want to be focused on and watch as the ground shifts. And literally these are just starting to shift. If we go to companies like Suncor, that's just breaking out of a base. If we go to CNQ, it's doing the same sort of thing. Here's Crescent Point just breaking out of a consolidation period. So these charts are just breaking out right now. We're going to focus on the industrial metals. So again, I'd like to teach you how to fish a little bit here. The idea being, if you wanted to go look, you need to create a chart list of industrial metal companies, and not just industrial metals, but different types of metals. So we're going to, the stuff in gray here is for US, and the stuff in blue here is for Canada. And I ran both scans and then put them all into one chart list. For now, I'm just going to show you how I ran the scan. So what I did was I went down here and I selected US, and then they're listed by sector. So within the sector, then we're looking for aluminum, and we're looking for general mining and non-ferrous metals and steel. So we go get each one of those lines. So we would click here, and then we would say add, and it would throw it up here on this line. So that's what I've done here. And then I changed it because you can't be in the group aluminum and in the group non-ferrous, so you need to change it to an or. So hopefully you can do a screenshot of this page right here, and that'll help get you set up for your scan to work. So in this particular case, everything without the slashes is going to work, and everything with the slashes in front of it are nullified for now. And so then you would put the slashes in front of the Canadian stuff and take the slashes off the US stuff and run the scan that way. Whoops. So again, the whole idea here is just to help you see how to do this. So these Canadian ones, we're going to just block off, and then you would run the US scan. So if you ran that US scan, let's just run it. You're going to get some scan results. So here we have 138 names. We want to save that into a chart list. So we're going to hit the save button. I just happen to have a chart list already set up, so I'm going to go get that list. And it's called the Scanning Stampede, and it's literally just a folder that I dump scans into all the time. And now we're going to save it into that list. Now when you get it in there, that's going to give you a whole bunch of different stuff. It's going to give you stocks that are penny stocks, right? 9-cent stocks and that type of thing. And you have to decide if you want those. So one of the ways I like to edit that out is I go with a scooter scan. And then as I look through here, you're going to see, all of a sudden we get a whole bunch that don't have scooters. Well, that's because they're not, they either have a low enough price that they don't scan. Now you might like low price stocks, so that's cool. Then you might actually flip this list and only look through these ones. So as an example, here's Western Copper, and that one looks like it's making a nice turn out of a base. Perhaps that's a nice buy. So it's really up to you how you want to scan for it. But what we want to do is at this point go all the way down to the bottom and number in sorted order. So when we do that, we get a whole list. Now I'm going to just page down here. And you can see that at number 810 is kind of when I run out of scooter rankings. And I could have sorted by volume as well, so that all of the rest of these would have volume sorting on them. But I didn't, just for the purpose of time. Now, if you don't want to go look at all of these other charts down here, that's fine with me. But you'll notice, see how this Norilsk nickel had a pretty bad day today. Well, one of the reasons it had a bad day today is it's, you can imagine, it's a Russian supplier of commodities, and all of a sudden it got crushed. And here's Friedman Industries. This one's down a little bit, but all of these ones that had a really bad day, and if we just kind of do it on percentage change, a lot of these you'll just see that they might have been from other parts of the world, and you'll know right away if you look through them and all of a sudden the chart's plummeting. It's a good reason to avoid it. So I've just that one Norsk nickel came to mind, so that's not a typo. It was just a Russian-based stock, I think, and plummeted. So we don't need to worry about that. We're going to use our scan engine, and again, we've numbered them based on the sort order of the scooter ranking. So we just click on here, and this is going to bring us into the group. Now we can quickly highlight like this. We can look through these very, very quickly. And you can see the aluminum names are soaring. Here's potash. That's also a big one that's taking off. But let's go look at these on a CandleGlance, and it's going to give us an idea. And I always have trouble buying them when they're running like this. I don't know why. You'd think that would be just fine. but I actually want to buy them as they're breaking out of these consolidation areas. And to me, that's much more attractive risk management way. We've consolidated for a while. All of a sudden, we break out to a new high. Anybody who bought through this whole period is interested in holding on because all of a sudden the stock is at a new high. And some of these uranium names are all starting to crank up, so those are pretty interesting. This Tech Resources has coal and copper and nickel and cobalt and zinc. They have lots of different types of metals, so this chart's just been a really strong one as an example, and we've been covering it a lot lately. So the big thing for us is, as we look through this list, is you have to decide what do you like to buy. And for me, so if we go look at this Freeport-McMoRan, this is a large cap stock with above average volume, breaking out to a new high. Like, this just couldn't be any better. So it's this kind of an example that we're looking for. Here's something that's been consolidating for 9 months or 10 months and literally is starting to pop. To me, that's fantastic. So I want to be aware of companies like that. Now, I'm still in this simple chart list that we had. The other chart list that I had set up earlier, and I'm just going to go there now, is a chart list that I made for industrial metals. And so I filed it here. Here's industrial metals. And again, in this list, I've got both Canadian and US, and I have not changed the sorting option on here much. So if we go just look at a view all here, let's just go to summary mode for a second. So what we've got when we go to the summary mode, now we're going to have both Canadian and US intermixed in this list, which is fine. We could add columns of data, like we could do specific industry. We know they're all in the same sector. So we could sort on industry, and if we wanted to drill in on aluminum, these companies have been doing great for a while, but all of a sudden they're really starting to accelerate with the problems. And then when we see these charts change so much, you have to decide how you want to invest around it. So what are the company names that you want? And for me, you want them to be strong companies to begin with, but now you want to watch them turn and break out. I want to see the whole group doing that, and that's the benefit of why we're looking at industrial metals this week, is the whole group is doing it. So if I go look at wind and solar stocks, they're also starting to get a lift. That's kind of nice. Now, maybe if we go over to banks, they're not. One of the things I find is when I go buy a group like this, I'm going to go pick a few stocks in the group. And it's amazing how one day one will run and the next day the next one will run, but for some reason they don't all run on the same day. They might all work together, but as an example, gold was up today and 2 gold miners I owned were up and 4 were down. Like, it was just kind of how it works. So I like to have a little bit of a basket. I don't need 30. I just need 3 or 4 or 5 different names to try and work with so I can monitor the industry. So again, if we just highlight and look through here, this is the aluminum names, and then we'll get into all different types of mining. Here's sand for fracking, and you can see that these charts are breaking out. It's going to put more pressure on the US to get going. So all of a sudden, these sand companies are starting to move. Here's Pretium Resources. That chart looks pretty close to ready to break out. Anglo American starting to move. Brigham Minerals. These are just beautiful setups. And then as they start to go, so let's just click on Brigham Minerals here. We've got a really nice consolidation going on for months. It hasn't dropped. Your Scooter ranking's one of the best stocks out there. And the PPO momentum wave is just gently pulling back, and all of a sudden it wants to start to turn up. That would be exactly what we're looking for. Okay, here's Southern Copper, and this is just such a nice little base that's been building here for 3 or 4 months. We'll just stretch that out. And again, the purpose is you're trying to find some of the best setups, not necessarily the one that's run the most already. That could end up going on to be a winner. But what you'll notice is this stock did really, really well on the scooter ranking, and then all of a sudden started to diminish. And while, stocks were running up in 2021, this stock was not. It was pulling back. And so it wasn't a great time to be on board. Well, what do we see here in February? It's just starting to get its wings again and take off. Now, if I'm right on what I think is going to happen with copper and some of these other metals, I think these things could literally double from here. They could make meaningful moves higher. So we've seen Southern Copper break out and literally just starting to work here. And now all of a sudden we're getting ready to soar to new, 8-month highs or something. You're at $70. Prior high was at 80. First of all, that's 12% or whatever just to get to the prior high. But what I like about this whole base concept here is this whole thing ran up and started to break out and looks like it wants to take off to the upside. Okay, so just by quickly looking through the charts, and again, if you want to go through CandleGlance view, if you haven't set up a CandleGlance specifically, mine is set up for weekly data, but you can go in and you can have different CandleGlance views. We could change that up right now. Let me just go do that actually. So the way I do that, so here's Rio Tinto, and let's say I want to watch a stock in a different CandleGlance. So I want to go see that whole group. I don't want to see it on weekly. I want to see it on daily. Well, what I've done is I've saved a couple of different chart styles, and I've called CandleGlance is the one that it's going to give you for your CandleGlance. But I've saved a couple of other styles that I could use. So let's just click on that. So that would be that style. It doesn't have some of the other indicators on it. It's got a different background, just depends on what color you want. Now, this one has the scooter ranking. I think my other one, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have the scooter ranking. So it's got a full stochastic instead. And then if I went to my daily, it's sitting here, and these are all just ready to go. So let's say I want this, but maybe I don't want the full stochastic or whatever. I want the scooter line. I've got the scooter. Actually, I've got the scooter valuation here in as a one line item, but I don't show the graph. So at least I can still see the values. So that's okay. But depending on what you wanted to look at, so this one in this case is a daily price movement. If I wanted to, rather than picking the former example of CandleGlance, so as an example, this is the one I've been showing. So I could quickly change this, and I could just say, replace this one. Actually, I want to do it the other way. Take, I might have made that mistake. Sorry about that. So I want to replace my CandleGlance with this weekly version. Actually, I've already got this version, so let me go get a different one. The point I'm trying to make is I have 3 other ones sitting here, and now I can go and make them a different CandleGlance and very quickly switch this out. So by having them all set up, is all I have to do is go grab them. And now when I go run this view all mode, and I'm going to go pick CandleGlance, I'm going to get them in a different visual than I had them before. They were in weekly mode before, and now they're in daily. So with that, what you've got is all of these different charts, and you can go in if you wanted to. You could delete them as you go. I don't really like to delete them. I'm more interested in going along and saying which ones are just breaking out. So here's Intrepid Potash. Potash is really starting to turn up. So is uranium. Here's silica sand. These are all just popping this week as we start to talk here. Steel companies have been on a run for a while, but they look like they're ready to go. Here's uranium energy, big downtrend here. All of a sudden, this thing was $3.50. It's $4. It's moving quickly up 15%. Tech Resources just keeps working its way higher. These are big companies that are changing trend. And again, you're seeing all the uranium names start to rock. So as you're working through these chart lists, the purpose of it again is to make it easy for you. Like we're here in under 20 minutes. We've gone in, we've got all of the charts. We can specify either the price we like or the pattern we like. We can go look on daily or weekly and very quickly see which ones are going to make the next move higher. And here's Global Atomic. This thing just sitting here at 450, ran up a little bit. It's quite choppy, but all of a sudden it's starting to go. Now for me, I might want something that's a little smoother. I don't really like the heart attack approach of investing. So here's Freeport McMoran, and I'm just going to zoom back out again here. Get the chart so it fits on my page. But again, you can see this nice big base, same sort of thing that we saw with Southern Copper, but we had a base, we make a little run up, we've got a handle pull back, and now we're working our way out. To me, the stock looks excellent. The StockCharts technical ranking just starting to break out and getting ready to soar here. Relative strength moving to all-time highs. It's just, a pretty easy chart to look at. There's nothing hard here. So try and get yourself set up for success by grouping your charts into a specific industry group or whatever, and go through and just decide, do I want to play low price stocks, high price stocks? Am I looking for the 50% in 3 days from some little volatile penny stock, or am I looking for, putting a larger piece of capital to work in something more safe, and then sorting it to adapt to your needs? I still think the best thing that you can do is try to find whole industries that are starting to move. And when you start to see that vein or that thread working through the market, it's a pretty easy place to get on board, because other institutional investors are also finding it, and they're pushing up all of the stocks in the space. Okay, so hopefully you've picked up what I'm putting down, or you've mined what I've got concealed. And the purpose of investing is to try and follow relative strength. So again, we want to see these charts start to break out. Freeport was an example of one that's just starting to go. If I go to Hudbay Minerals, let's just look for Hudbay. So here's Hudbay, and you can see it's very similar. I wrote about it on a Twitter post and an article I did last week. But you could just see this thing is starting to turn up. It's already up 4% the first day of this week, and it wouldn't surprise me if it blows through to all-time highs here. Being ready when something turns and all of a sudden you can get in is really nice. Now, you might be on watching CNBC, and somebody says, I really like insurance stocks right here. So go get the group of insurance stocks, bring them up and put them together, and try and make your life easier rather than just picking the one he's shown or she's shown. Go look at the whole group and see if there aren't some better names that you like. And many times, some of the mid-cap names, they can't mention them on TV because there's not enough volume for them, so they'll need to cover off the large caps. In this case, there's so many metal miners that are moving up nicely. And if we just go check this list from a different perspective, so I'm going to go back to summary mode here. And I'm going to just say, okay, show me the 3-month view of this thing. And now let's just go based on percentage change. I mean, some of these are absolutely rocketing, but anything with a scooter ranking, we can look at these changes. This is just in 3 months. These things have been moving up significantly. And again, it's that kind of scale change that we're getting. This is a period where the NASDAQ topped out in November, and at the end of February, it was down near 20%. Well, these names are up 40% on a $25 stock, and go look at the chart. It's beautiful. So hopefully that gives you some ideas, a methodology to try and go hunting when you hear a good idea on TV or on Twitter or whatever. Put them all in a group together and then work your way through the group and just see if you can set yourself up for working through the charts nicely. And you might not like any of the examples. Feel free to go and take all of the ideas I gave you and just manipulate them to whatever you see in the markets. Okay. Lastly, member dashboard. Let me go to the NASDAQ. I want to cover off one quick thing here. So this is intraday 60-minute chart, and you can just see we're stuck right here at the 100-period moving average, which is roughly the 20-day moving average. If we go to the daily chart for the NASDAQ, it's been quite a horrific drop. And even if we took this chart and we started to add some Fibonacci levels on here, and just say either from the all-time high or whatever, we've still got some room to work. We could get up to 14.5 or 14.9, and even then we could still roll over into a bear market, making another leg down. So be careful here. The market is pretty slippery. Try to find some strength, and I think commodities look good. Thanks for taking the time to join me on Market Buzz. Market Buzz airs Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also see the recording on StockCharts TV YouTube page. Good luck. Stay safe and invest well out there. It's a rocky market. Different stuff going different ways. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.